Thank you. I'm amazed that you memorised my bio. That's amazing. It's nice to meet everyone. I'm Jessica Muddett. I'm the founder of Henry Books, a hybrid publisher in Sydney. It's wonderful to be here to be celebrating Jeeves' book, Dancing with the Universe. I would like just to begin by reading an acknowledgement to Ngunnawal country. This is Ngunnawal country. We acknowledge the Ngunnawal people as the traditional owners of this land on which we work and live. We acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and connections to land, water and community. We pay respect to the elders of the Ngunnawal nation past, present and emerging. Always was, always will be. I would now like to introduce Steve Allen and Rachel Best, who both graduated from the Canberra School of Music and have built distinguished careers as teachers and performers. Rachel performs with the Canberra Symphony Orchestra and delights in opportunities to appear in smaller ensembles or as a soloist. Steve's debut CD, About Time, was selected as CD of the Week for ABC's classic On the Veranda segment. His most recent releases include the ABC-commissioned Time for Calm series, a collection of original Australian music. In addition to composing and performing, Steve teaches the Alexander technique to musicians and others through his practice Balancing Act. Today they will perform the charming La Varenne by Italian-born, Paris-based accordionist and composer Louis Ferrari, in celebration of Jeeves' first novel and the launch of Cagnini Earth Projects. you. I would now like to introduce the star of the show today, Jeev, who's going to come and speak to you about his first novel. I'm sure he doesn't need any introduction, but I will do all the same. Jeevac is the literary alter ego of Clinical Associate Professor Rajiv Jyoti, although most of us just call him Jeev. He's the force behind Kanyini Earth Projects, a oneness mission devoted to easing conflicts by nurturing human connections. With a poet's heart and a philosopher's mind, Jeev has woven these passions into his debut philosophical novel, Dancing with the Universe, a work that is as heartwarming as it is thought-provoking. Welcome, Jeev.
The year was 2014, and this young, athletic, dynamic Australian athlete felt that she fell out of the sync with the world around her. She could not dance with her universe anymore. She was feeling out of rhythm, couldn't go any further with her passion of playing. Although, year before, she was in the 3 of the 4 Grand Slam tennis tournaments. Her singles ranking was rising steadily up, but she couldn't do it anymore. So contrary to advice of her coach and family and friends, she said, no, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I need to take a pause. I need to recollect myself. I just can't do it. And she took a pause. For a couple of years, she did so many other different things. Recollected herself, got ready to start her dance with the universe again, and back she was. What a comeback she made. She rose to be world number 1, won 3 Grand Slams. Ash Barty, one of our stars. It happens to many of us when you feel out of sync. Year was 1883. This young lawyer out of University College London, dynamic, full of energy, looking forward to getting into the world and making it big. Gets his first job in South Africa. His first client, a big company, sends him a first-class ticket to travel to meet with a client from Natal to Pretoria. He's very excited. Pinstripe suit, gelled hair, lovely bag in hand, ticket in his pocket. He steps into the first-class cabin of the train, settles down in his seat, looking forward to groove, the dance, the rhythm he's looking forward to in his life. As he sits down, opens the newspaper, 2 big African men just going past the cabin spot him. They turn at him with concern. Hey, you brown man, what are you doing here? He said, oh, I got a ticket. He's still pretty confident. I got a ticket. He said, I don't care you got a ticket or not. This is the wrong place for you to be. Get out of here. He said, look, I'm a barrister. I know what I'm doing. He said, I don't care. If you don't get out, I'll get you thrown out. He shrugged his shoulders, very confident. World is his oyster. Okay, it's all right. He gets back into the newspaper. 10 minutes later, train stops in the next station, and he finds himself on the floor of the platform. His clothes mangled, his hair ruffled, his stuff strewn across on the platform. He sat down on his knees for 20 minutes, unmoved. His rhythm has gone. He's no longer in groove with the world around him. His world has crashed. But he sat there and wrote later on that Aaron entered my soul. He decided to recollect himself, to find his groove again with the universe which he's gone out of step with. And what a comeback it was. He went on to become Mahatma Gandhi. Now, I took these 2 examples, very famous, but it doesn't matter. All of us in this room perhaps have found ourselves out of rhythm, out of groove. I have, many times. For some it happens very often, for some occasionally. But the key is in getting back in your groove again. And the universe is, as Camus calls, my favorite philosopher, that the universe is absurd. I sort of disagree. I think universe is universe. We find it absurd at times. It is our intent and desire and will to get back into the groove is that matters. And we can all do that. Dancing with the Universe is not a self-help book. It's not going to teach you 3 ways to get rich, 10 quick ways to become happiest person on the planet, or 12 ways to really be liked by everyone. None of this in this book, really. It is a simple philosophical capturing by 2 people who come from diverse backgrounds. A young, dynamic Australian doctor, she's traveling, looking for a new job, and middle-aged, lost ex-corporate philosopher who doesn't know what he's doing. And they are completely different people. When they come together, their conversation is what this book is about. And what I've realized, even after writing the book, that when 2 human beings who communicate with each other in trust, they transform each other. Such is the beauty of our deep human connection that it's really transformative. So, if anyone get a chance in the book, there's a last section on acknowledgements, which are really most dear part of my writing that book. That I think this book is a work of plagiarism of 20,000 years of human history. There's nothing new. We all capture things from each other. Everything we know, we stand for, is from someone. Either teachers or people we interact with, books we read, authors we listen to. So that's the work in this book, anyway. So, my Sunday walk group people are here. I'm not going to point to them. Some of them asked me, is there any romantic thing in the book? I said no. No steamy scenes. There's a one type of arousal that's promised in the book. That's arousal of your curiosity. You'll find few things which might ring bell, you might like something interesting, you might go on Google and chat GPT to explore more. That's what is promised, and hope that happens. If it does happen, I'll be really pleased and happy. Thank you.
There's no escape. And there will also be questions from the audience, so if you have a question, we'd love to hear it at the end. But I'm going to begin, first of all, just by saying congratulations. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling very happy and excited, but also very vulnerable. When you write a book like this, you expose yourself to the world. So I'm not sure what I've done, but it's done now.
It's done. I hope you also feel satisfied.
I feel satisfied. Thank you. And thanks for your help.
No, it's been a pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure. From the moment you contacted me, I thought, what an interesting, multi-layered person, a radiologist, who's a philosopher, who's written a novel set in the Himalayas. I thought this would be good. And it has been an absolute delight to publish your book. What prompted you to write it?
I think book was a very late idea in COVID, but I think I always read, as I said to my radiology friends, some of them are here, that radiology was my second love. I wanted to be a philosopher or maybe something like that, but it doesn't pay.
It doesn't pay.
So, and my dad, who was a poet, always used to say very proudly that this is a poor house of a poet. I'm very proud to be poet and poor. I wasn't happy with the poor part. So I thought, I write poetry as well, but I thought, nah, I had to do something else. So I took 30 years of hiatus from philosophy and did radiology. But during all those years, I used to read, and as a medical habit, read something, you take notes, can't help it. So if I read a nice article from Albert Camus or someone, or Nietzsche, and then I'll always think about this and write a few things on a little scribble notebook, and those notes built up over the years. So around COVID time, I went to my office in the hospital, and I said, oh, there's a lot of stuff in the drawers and the computer screen, and I thought, oh, that's something, I should use it. So that's how, initially I thought I'd write a book of essays.
Yes.
And then I thought maybe nobody reads philosophy anyway, so maybe I'll do something else.
And how was that process? So you had completed the essays.
Yes, I started writing essays, I think 4 or 5, so I had these themes in my mind. Then I thought, well, essay is not something maybe not everybody may like, so I attended a session with Sydney Writers Centre on writing novels, but it's not my natural genre. I can write essays and non-fiction, but not done a novel before, and that was very helpful. So anyway, then I changed to writing a novel, and I thought what I'm doing. After a year, I said, I'm not getting anywhere. Building characters and all that was really tough game, but I'm glad it's there.
I have to ask, because you started today by speaking about Ash Barty, and Ash is one of the characters. Is that just a coincidence?
It's just a coincidence.
Okay.
It's a coincidence. Actually, you're the first one to pick it.
I was going to say, yeah, I've learned something new.
Very observant.
No. And tell us about where the book is set.
Our book is set in, obviously, I think it's set in, she's traveling through Himalayas. She's a doctor, worked very hard, and she won't take a break before the big job starts. So, like, you know, a lot of young people go to Asian countries, like your example is
yes.
there. You have traveled through the whole South Asia. So she's doing that, exploring world which is philosophical and more spiritual. And then she bumps into Jirak, not Jirak, Mara. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is not me, I can tell you absolutely sure. All the shortcomings are not mine. So it happens actually when you start writing, characters take its own shape. It's just interesting. It becomes very different than you started with. So they bump into each other and start having that dialogue and conversations, and that flows into the book.
And I decided it's what's the X-Files characters? That's the dynamic between the main characters and Scully. Yeah, there is not a romance. They are having a serious discourse about life. Can you tell us about the title? Why did you choose Dancing with the Universe?
I think this was one of the chapters in the book to start with. And it was meant to be that conversation about the world around us, our interaction with our world. I believe we all have our own universes, because we're living in a Vedanta philosophy that universe is what you observe. It's observed universe. We all observe it differently because the way we are brought up and the way we see the world. So if I look at the universe in a certain way, you might see a different way. So your universe is your version of the universe. So I thought, well, being in sync with universe is a very challenging act at times. So that was an essay, and then I picked that essay as I thought it was very nice, and I thought that should be the title of the book.
Mm-hmm. And you have a lifelong love of philosophy. I would like to know why, because sometimes it just creates more questions than it answers.
Yeah, certainly years of thinking about these questions. I have more questions now than ever before. I don't know, I think my dad was a poet, I used to see poetry, and I remember thinking of this existential question when I was 8 or 9 year old. So it's very early. I started thinking, who am I? What is so almost so natural. But they stuck on with me. So a lot of people think and then move on. But I think I got stuck with those questions and started reading on these. And it's always fun for me, to be honest. I enjoy finding those more questions around questions. So weird, very weird.
No, wonderful. It's wonderful. You are also the founder of Kanyini Earth Project. Can you please tell us about that?
Yeah, I think everything flowing to each other. So a lot of philosophical ideas, which some of the in the book as well, which blends into it. I think more and more in recent years we feel that trust is receding slightly. I don't think I'm a pessimist. I think I'm looking optimistically managing that. But I think it's the time when trust is receding, conflicts are more prevalent due to new media. Something needs to happen, I guess. And I think there's so many smart people around the world who are doing great things for humanity. But one thing I think which can easily be a way out of that conundrum is that if we all come together, we do wonderful things working together. And I think less conflict, more connection, we can find answer to most of our problems. That's the Kanyini all about.
That's wonderful. At the start of the chapters, you have quotes from famous philosophers. Among those, who is your favourite?
Oh, that's a hard one, isn't it? Well, there are quite a few. I like Ludwig Wittgenstein, who's an Austrian philosopher. He talks about language, which I'm learning. So I'm not sure anyone of you heard of his work. Wittgenstein, I can hardly pronounce that. Austrian word. So he was amazing guy. He grew up in a very rich family, but was a philosopher from day one. So father never liked him, couldn't take up his business. Well, he was not interested. He went to where really for 3 years in some Norwegian hinterland and contemplated his practice, which is wrote the first book. So his idea is simply that when we communicate, human beings, when we communicate, the words carry that picture. So when you say jug or juice or water, we all have a picture for each word in our minds. which is uniquely ours. So what he says is communication can change the way you feel. And I think this is a good idea. If you start talking things in a positive sense, to anything really, you can turn it around, at least for yourself.
You're a force for positive in the world, which is wonderful. Would you recommend book writing to others who might be contemplating it? Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed writing it. It was stressful at times because, you know, those who are thinking of writing, and there are some very famous writers here, I'll be on it. But I would say that for me, writing is always rewriting. There are drafts and drafts. So I must enjoy the initial few, then I was starting getting very heavy. So that gets harder because redraft means you know, gosh, to get it right. So it's a lot of work. But look, in the end, when you finish and I don't think they ever file a draft, but when someone else tells you, this is it, you're done, leave it now. So when that happens, it's a very good feeling. Yeah, I think I really enjoy the initial stages, and then you put so much effort, you want to finish it.
Yeah, sure. And so having achieved that, which is something that most people do not do in their lifetime, what is next for you?
I think careening is what I want to do, work for this objective of bringing people together, reducing trust, building trust and reducing conflict in the world around us. I think that's the key thing. Along with the writing will keep happening, so I'll keep writing things here and there, and hopefully maybe another book sometime.
Well, we'll miss you until then, so we hope you write another book. I would now like to open it up to audience questions, and I can, maybe if we swap microphones. Does anybody have a question for Jeff? I'll come and give you the microphone.
Thanks, Chief. That was great.
Thank you.
What did you learn about yourself through this writing process?
Thank you. Well, yeah, this is a tough one. I'm still learning about myself, I think. There are a lot of things which... So, writing opens up your mind in an interesting way. A lot of things had to be rewritten because I thought, I don't agree with this. Do I actually mean it? So when you write to a character's mind some paragraph, and you start questioning it immediately after that, so you have to rewrite it, and then you think, maybe that works with me. So it was a lot of work about synthesis. So I think it tells me about my personality. I think I probably like to keep learning. I don't think work is finished. I think more I learned, more I know how much less I know. In fact, it makes you very humble that I know nothing. I used to say jokingly, which a lot of my kids believe seriously, that that's true, that I know nothing. They say, yeah, you know nothing. But actually, that's true. Yes, you believe it. I know, you specifically do believe it. But idly, as you learn more and more, so my lesson for myself was I really don't know much. There's a lot of work to do.
Yes?
Sorry. That was a great book, Rajiv.
Thank you.
So I'm not I read books, but I'm not a big reader of philosophy. So I kind of approached this book with a bit of trepidation. I would say for people who are not read it, it's not an easy book to read. Okay, it's not like you already said, it's not a self-help book, or nor does it involve romance or steamy stuff, thankfully. I did find, like I said, this is not a question, this is more of a comment. I did find it very, very interesting and extremely curious beyond, what is already written there. What was your source material? Like, I found the idea of Ludwig Wittgenstein getting his inspiration from the Upanishads.
Yeah.
Amazing. Like, that was a wormhole I had to go into big Reddit thread. It took me a couple of days to get out of it. What is your source material for all of this?
I, as you probably worked out, I'm a very scattered personality. I'm all over the place. So I can't do one thing at a time. So I kept reading. As I said to the notes, so my notes in my office, I picked them up once when I started thinking of writing. There were also the soft copy, hard copy, and there were all sort of things there. So I actually tell you, I took a tool, if those who are writing, it's called Freeform in the Apple. So what you do is, they're kind of yellow sticky notes. So I had this philosophical idea, I've read somewhere with a reference and everything. So you stick on that screen, like sticky, 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 and you look at them, and they start taking shape. You move them around, and it starts taking shape. So basically, it's years of reading, and my notes from that reading in my words, they gel together. I didn't think they gel together. Obviously, it's still very confusing. But, but to me, that's the best I could do. So source was all over the place. It's humongous about reading all from different sources.
No, it's great. I actually think I need to read the book a couple more times.
Thank you.
Did you have a question?
Thanks. Great speech. Great speech.
Thank you, Antonio.
Jeev, two quick questions. One is that the dialogue between these people was so inspiring and so magnificent, but it made me think, wouldn't it be great if everybody in life listened to each other the way these two characters listen to each other? And either through Kanyini or through the book, are you hoping that that's going to happen more in the real world? And secondly, were any radiologists damaged or unnecessarily aroused during the production of this book?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm here for you, mate.
Always. Thank you.
Okay. Have you got one? Do you want?
Thank you, Jeev.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you for inviting us, and thank you. I really enjoyed your book. You just mentioned humility, though, and very early on in your book, Manak says, the universe unfairly favours me. And I want to know that, is that due to humility, or is it due to this larger approach that you've learnt through doing your book? And my question to you is, do you feel lucky, Jeev?
That's a very good, Mark. You read it pretty well, actually. That's so cool. Good on you. That's a very good point. So at times, I think the question is it humility or is it imposter syndrome? I think there's a bit of reference there somewhere in the book, I guess. Many times when you feel lucky, I mean, that's again the feeling. The universe is exactly how you perceive it. So I'm perceiving I'm so lucky, got all these things. But at the same time, it can also lead to a feeling that I got more than I deserve. And that's the basis for imposter syndrome. And a lot of us, especially high achievers, suffer from that. So to answer your question, I think humility is a good dose of humility in that statement. Because if we all start thinking that, well, let's say wherever we are. I remember one of our uncles in Delhi, I think Ruchi's uncle, he was an auto rickshaw driver. The whole family is business and doctors. And one cousin who didn't do very well financially, but he used to be I'm not sure anyone has been in South Asia, auto driver. Lovely family. He was always like that. I'm very lucky. I'm enjoying life. And I used to look at everybody's like a cardiologist and family neurologist and business people. He was the happiest man around. I remember that vividly. So some people can have that humility. And I would say there's more humility than imposter syndrome, which actually means you've really done well, but you don't feel that way. So I think I'll more tilt towards this being a humility comment.
Okay.
Thank you.
There's a question at the back, I think. Yes, I'll bring the microphone to you.
Thank you. Rajiv, when you read poetry, do you read it in more than one language?
Good question. I grew up in Hindi poetry. My dad was a Hindi poet. So that's my natural. For poetry in particular, if I write a poem in English, I actually write in Hindi, and then I don't translate it. That's what I've learned.
Yeah.
Don't translate it. It loses the meaning completely. But I capture the essence of the idea, and then I rewrite it on that theme. So completely in English again. So two languages. So over the years, living in Australia for more than 30 years, my Hindi is terrible. My English was never good. So I'm without language.
So I guess my curious question was, if you had written this in Hindi, would you have brought out more of your poetic side?
You're right. I think this one probably not, because my philosophical writing was mostly in English, the late stages. So I started reading more philosophy year 12 onwards. So I think most, even Indian philosophy or a Chinese philosophy, are read in English translations. So in poetry in particular, I have Hindi thing because as a child I heard those poetry. But in text form, in the essays, I think I'm clearly more comfortable with the English.
Are there other questions?
Oh.
Yes? I'll go first and then I'll go to you next.
That's a great book, Rajiv ji. You have done very well. Fantastic. Congratulations again. I would just like to ask you about the craft. As you know, the creation is like imagination. It's a free world. You go on dreaming and creating and for all the time in the life. On the other hand, writing is a kind of putting a discipline. How you capture imagination, put a boundary. So how you balance these two things, imagination, which is free world, exploring all the ideas, and all the writing, putting in the words, the discipline?
That's a great question, Avdesh. Thank you so much for asking that. It's a tough one. So, especially for poetry, I would say that sometimes an idea comes in the middle of the night when you got up to get a drink of water. And when I don't write it, then I forget. Next day, I'm so frustrated because I forgot it completely. So now what I do is, if an idea comes, I just write it then, in this odd time of the day. Just 2 lines quickly to capture that idea. And then idea scaffolding for the rest of the work. And for that, the discipline you asked the question about, you need someone to discipline people like me. And I got Ruchi for that. Because I stopped doing radiology, and I said, whole day I'm home, so I don't do my work. She come home and said, how much have you written? I said, 2 lines? You could have done 25 MRIs in that time. That's true. So I was always in pressure. Before she comes home, better have a few pages written. So really, discipline is hard. I totally agree with you. So you sit and think, and then you get up. So you need someone to discipline. Or yourself somehow, maybe put a timer. For me, there was someone disciplining me. Thank you. Chris.
Okay.
Thanks, Jeev. Being humble doesn't seem to sit well with me in the radiology world. So congratulations and for being vulnerable. I haven't read the book yet, but I've just skimmed it. The obvious question to me is, can you dance? Because I've just started going to the gym and I'm doing Zumba with my wife, and I'm always out of sync with my universe. So.
What a great comment, Chris. Yes, I mean, it's a metaphor, of course, but we all dance, actually. So all the time in your life, when you were blissful, you're dancing. And when you're not dancing. So that simple is that. So most of the time, we want to be in dance with the world around us. That means we're in sync, things are looking good, we are chirpy, happy. So I believe most people have that experience, I hope, at least a lot of times, not all the time.
Okay. There's a question here.
Oh,
yep.
Thanks.
Hi, Jeev. Thank you very much for today. Without perhaps giving any spoilers for those of us that haven't read the book, could you give us an insight into perhaps some of the dialogue that the two had, and perhaps the conflict, and how your writing, how you thought about these conflicts yourself, and where you conflicted yourself within the story?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. So main conflict is, I think it's observation in my life. Then it's not necessarily two completely different people. There's always overlap, but also there are people who are, let's say, grounded. We sometimes call them materialists. Sometimes we call them realists. So the one character is like that, who's matter of the fact, go to work, do things, what to think about. Don't read philosophy. Let's get things going. They're good people in every sense. And the other person who's like me sits around thinking, pondering more than actually getting a lot of things done. But they do get things done to some lesser level. So I think that's the broad 2 categories. People who spend more time contemplating, thinking, deep thoughts, and doing his part, but much less smaller component for them. They drive pleasure in thinking. And the other side is the people who really are on the floor, getting things done. So I think that's the 2 main thoughts. There's a chapter on materialism, which is actually very good. I enjoyed writing it. So that's a history of materialism going back to the 5,000 years. So that captures that, and then it goes on, flows to other chapters as well.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Yes? Oh, many questions, Jeev. See, you've opened up more questions than answers.
Thank you, Jeev. But also, thank you, the people, for asking questions, because it made me think about some of the things that you spoke about. And the bit about dancing is the one that got me, because I started my life as a classical ballerina. And I don't do that now, but I was always happy dancing. But I don't know that I thought about it the way you're explaining, when people feel like they are dancing. I think it's more to do with what is it that you do that makes you feel happy. And it could be dancing, or when you do something entirely different, it could be that. Or if it's between, maybe you can't find that.
Absolutely. This is a brilliant way to put it as well. Thanks. So your dance could be in the garden, your dance could be anywhere in the traveling, could be any dance. I think it's a state of bliss, I guess that's the way I describe it, when you're really enjoying being who you are. So that's the state of dance. It comes from real dance, or it comes from singing, comes from reading. Thank you.
Thank you. I read your book some weeks ago because my daughter gave it to me to read, and I found there was a mass of ideas that I hadn't come across before, but I appreciated. And how many I will remember is another story. But one I did remember was you talked about 4 stages of life. And now, being in the 4th stage myself, I think it's very important that people do reflect on what has been and appreciate what's been and are grateful for it. And it's good that that comes through.
Thank you so much. Thanks for that comment. Just on that 4 stages, I knew, luckily, when I was very young, it was always in my mind. It was always, I don't know, I couldn't shake it off, those stages. So I'm living those stages. I'm stage 3, and I would like to be on stage 4 someday. Hopefully I can. Yes, right. It's flexible. There's no time limit. Thank you.
Hi, Jeev. I'm a lover of the contemplative life.
Thank you.
And I love to hear you talk about that. My question is to you: have any personal practices or rhythms developed in your life, through the process of writing and thinking, that have given your soul life?
I think it's a big question. I was just lucky that there's a chapter on epigenetics as well, so just to alert people. So I think more we know science, we know that genes are important, but not as much as the environment where the genes flourish. Or genes are like fairy lights, turn on, turn off. So I think after an environment, very literary environment, my father's Bill writer, mum was a school teacher. I remember my sister and I went through the whole school library in 2 years, every book. So I think that thought process started very early on, and I kept it despite my work, which was like radiologist, like it's a technical work, but I kept the interest alive. So it kept shaping my ideas, those readings. So I think it's very important. As we all know, there's nothing new in this. We know that keep the art, the music, the dance, the readings, and more human connection. When you talk with anyone for 5 minutes, you already have left impression. When you talk for 1 hour, you have a deeper impression. When we spend time for days, you have even deeper impression. Whether you observe it or not, it's always there. So I think I was lucky to interact with all sort of people in my life that they left few things, which I captured in the book as well. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Is there another one over here? We can have one last question.
Hello again, Jeev. You touched briefly in your book on Marcus Aurelius and his Stoic doctrines. And Stoicism is something that's only ever applied retrospectively. Nobody goes to a meeting and go, I met Jane and she was really stoic. And so I'm a big fan of Marcus Aurelius' work, and there's some principles that are applied through Monarch and his teachings. But given Stoicism is only talked about retrospectively, what do you want written on your tombstone, Jeev?
Well, I don't think I'll have a tombstone because I'll disappear. That's my intent. There's a book out. We have an online magazine. There's a story I just published called Departure at Noon. It's a lovely short story if you like to read. That's how I like to departure. It's a departure of noon. But I think you're right. I think that's a very good point, Mark, that Stoicism can be applied retrospectively. But also, you can build in yourself going forward stoic, not that you will make a decision stoically every time, but you can build a stoic personality. But that takes time. It doesn't happen today I'll be stoic. It doesn't happen that way. But you can build those ideas by contemplating that you deal with things more stoically.
Okay, I think we should give you a round of applause. That was fascinating. Okay, we'd now like to talk about Kanyini Earth Projects, which Jeev founded. It is a not-for-profit social enterprise with a powerful purpose to ease conflict, nurture trust, and celebrate the beauty of our shared connections. Through stories, articles, podcasts, and reels, it shines a light on what unites us, our collective care for this living planet we all call home. We welcome every heart and every voice, beyond the boundaries of religion, politics, race, or gender, guided always by compassion, integrity, and curiosity. We collaborate with changemakers, ignite meaningful conversations, and create gatherings that stir reflection, laughter, and hope. By weaving together science, philosophy, and the human spirit, we're cultivating a new kind of entrepreneurship, one rooted not in profit, but in kindness, trust, and purpose. Every action we take, every resource we hold, flows back into this vision: to support life, honour our interdependence, and move together towards a future built in the radiant spirit of our oneness. I'd like to invite Jeev to come and talk about it.
Who said it's going to be easy? Another few more minutes, and then we'll have Keanu, who's going to lighten the mood a bit. So, we are living in the best of times. We're living in the worst of times. It's the age of wisdom. It is also the age of foolishness. It is the epoch of belief. It is also the epoch of incredulity. It is the season of light. It is also the season of darkness. It is the spring of hope. It is also the winter of despair. These lines, those of readers amongst you, know from Tale of Two Cities, from Charles Dickens. I think these lines spotlight on human paradox so beautifully. So we were always in best times and worst times since we were humans. We had all these paradoxical possibilities, from height of optimism to depth of pessimism. Everything was possible. Even now, even 50 years ago or 200 years ago when these lines were written. What's changed now? What's changed now is the new technologies, digital age, has expounded these possibilities. On one side, with the digital age, we are sitting at the verge of utopia. We can really do it, amazing things as humans. But also we're staring down at a possibility of our own extinction. So those two diverse things were always possible for humans, but now it's manifold. So when I had this thought in my mind years ago, I thought, yes, we always like that. We always think we have possible crises and possible greatness. But now it's a bit far more. So what can be done about this? So I think Kanini is the word that epitomizes our connection with each other, with the land, with the country, and with the universe. This has to sprout out of the closet from the hidden ancient hiding to the outer world now. And the reason that has to happen is because I don't see any other way. We have created amazing colonies. Look at the world. Now, if you look on plane you go, you see the colonies everywhere, the lights and the whole Earth from the moon looks phenomenal. What have we done? Amazing things. And that has happened because of our ability to work together far better than bees and ants. We are the dominant species because we work with each other. But unfortunately, there are more limelight is on the conflict. we sometimes think that we're at the verge of destroying each other. I don't think that's the case. I think humans are far better than we think at the moment that they are. If you look at the media, you think we're just going for each other. No, we can work with each other. So Kanini is the idea to put a spotlight on our ability to work with each other and make it happen. Give a better media bite, better showcase those stories and ideas that we can be feeling good about ourselves as a species. So Kanini, what Kanini can do? So initially we have a magazine, it's called online magazine called Kanini Earth Journal, which has few articles. Some of the contributors are here. They have wonderful stories, which again spotlight on our goodness. One nice little stories. So you can read those stories and leave comment. It's online, so you can. I think there's a story in each one of us. If you like to write something, please write, and we have a lot of help through the Kanini Earth Journal to put a story together. There's an editor who can help out, put your story together and get published. So that's where you can get engaged with Kanini. Other thing we are still working on, we only launched a couple of months ago, is we'll have media bites, short reels, modern age, digital ways to go out and actually say, we are good. We are good people, there's a good future. Let's build a positive media around our species. So we'll do that. And also, other than that, we are going to support young entrepreneurs who are, I like this idea of social entrepreneurship. I'm sure there's a lot written about it, but that's a real thing. So when you work in a business, we all do, we have to work hard and make wealth for ourselves and our family, which is perfectly good. But when you have a social enterprise, your wealth is everlasting, long-lasting, because you build wealth in money sense, but also build wealth in a social sense. And that lasts when you're older with you. So I think those ideas we want to promote. We have mentors who can help young people. We're doing 2 projects at the moment where we're going to support those enterprises. So these are different ways you can engage with Kanini, and we'll be evolving soon from here to more things as we go forward. So I take this opportunity to segue to the theme of the day, which is the immigrant. I think it was a good topic come to my mind because we're talking of connections. And there's something which this word, the immigrant, puts some questions in our mind, sometimes stirs it up, sometimes we feel sympathetic, sometimes we think, what is it? So I would like you to take just a few seconds and think in your mind, when I say the immigrant, what picture brings in your mind? What thoughts come in your mind? And we all, again, very uniquely different. And once you think about this, my view was, it's all about perspective. That's my view, and I'm sure you have different views on this. My view is the perspective. So once you think the word immigrant as individual, you're thinking of your experiences, you're thinking sympathy, empathy, support, annoyance, anger sometimes. But you're thinking the word immigrant as nation, as a big community, you're thinking job losses, economy getting better, housing crisis. So that's a different perspective, or political perspective. But when you have species perspective, that's what I'm more interested in. When you zoom out at Homo sapien level, what perspective we have? Only one. We are species who always has been immigrant. From our inception, we are all immigrant on this planet Earth. So it's not startling anymore because humans, we do that. We have complexity of the reality of it now, which is fine. We can deal with that. But philosophically, that's who we are. That defines our species. So that comes to my mind. Also, I'll take this opportunity to quote a Professor Kokithas, who's an Australian professor, teaches at Cambridge University. And he says that there's no economic argument against immigrants because economists fight with each other almost everything. Sorry to economists in the group. But we know that. But the one thing they agree on, that immigrants from the history of humanity always bring more wealth where they come. Argument is more political identity argument, perception argument. So those are the arguments which go against that. And one of the authors, I think he's a playwright, Max Frisch, he wrote years ago that when you look economically, when we ask for immigrants, he says that we asked you for workers, and what we got is people. So when we go out for seeking nurses or accountants or doctors or farm workers, you get them, but you don't just get them. You get the people with the emotional baggage, with their culture. We didn't ask for that, but that's what happens. Humans come with all those things. So I think this was the interesting thoughts I had. At this moment, I'd like to now hand over back to Jessica, because to lighten the mood now, I think I've said enough. We will have someone else.
Yes,
Thank you.
we will. Yes, we will. We have a stand-up comedian. That was great, Jeev. I'd like to introduce Kianosh Sahibi, who is a Sydney-based comedian and 2024 Raw National finalist. He has performed at some of the most prestigious venues in the country, including Melbourne Town Hall and many more. He has also performed as the opening act for international acts such as Tony Woods and Amir Kay. Welcome to the stage, Kianosh.
Thank you. One more time for Jess, everybody. I wasn't actually meant to perform today, but it's Bring Your Nephew to Work Day. So we'll give it a go. Look, the next few minutes will be a tonal change. I just want you guys to know that. This guy's already filming for the police. And it's going to be good fun. It's nice for me to be here. Been thinking a lot about today. I drove all the way from Sydney here. And I've just gotten back from the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, actually. So I was there in all of August doing a split bill comedy show called Koalas and Kebabs with me and another comedian. It's called Koalas and Kebabs because I'm Iranian, and then the other comedian has chlamydia. So it's... Okay, that joke tells me how we're going to be for the rest of the show, and it's going to be good. Okay, this is comedy in the daytime. I'm not usually even allowed to leave the house at this time. So thank you so much. It's exciting to be here. I am Iranian. Do we have Iranians in the house? No, that's okay. Do we know what they are? Yeah, that's good. Anyone know anything about Iran? We have some beautiful culture. What do you know?
I've been there.
You've been there. Okay. It's incredible. The country's great. Do you guys know anything of like...
I've been there before the Taliban got rid of the famous Buddha of Bangalore.
Even I don't know about this. What? The Taliban? I thought that was another country. Very cool. Okay, does anyone know anything fun about Iran? Okay, that's pretty good. Shiraz, the wine Shiraz. Yeah, you guys drink? That's named after a town in Iran called Shiraz. Yeah. They didn't know what town to name it after. You know, they're tossing up between Shiraz and Khorramabad. You figure Shiraz rolls off the tongue a little better, you know? But it's a fascinating drink because you can't drink alcohol in Iran, right? It's a Muslim country. You can't drink there. So you can't actually drink Shiraz in Shiraz. That's like not being able to smoke meth in Penrith. You know what I mean? Isn't that what we came here to do? But I love Iran personally. I love Iran as much as the next government. But it's interesting for me. I've noticed that the names that you give things affect how you feel about them emotionally, right? Because Iranians are Persians, like I said, yeah. But you tell a girl on a first date, for example, that you're Iranian, doesn't sound great, right? You tell her you're Persian, still not great. Turns out it's my personality, so I just say I'm, Greek. But that's why I think Muslims have it very tough in the West. You know, it's really only in the West that we're called Muslims. Everywhere else in the world, you're a Muslim, right? Or a Mussalmun. I think that soft S is beautiful, almost sexy, right? Not quite. We'll get there. That's okay. But here we're Muslims, and I think that could ruin anything. You could be like, dude, who brought chocolate cake into the office? Who do you think? The Muslims. Doesn't sound good. Okay? And I just don't think it's fair. I think you guys have to think about it from their perspective, right? Imagine if you went to their country, is all I'm saying. Do you guys know how you say Christian, where I come from? Spit on that thing. It's just too much. Jeev, whenever you want, just give me a signal. This is really going to get to a point where you'll have to call security, but we'll push through. I've lived here my whole life. I'm born and raised here. My parents have been here for about 30 years now. And it's interesting for me. My parents are both psychologists. That's why I'm here. It's an interesting thing because my parents have lived here for 30 years, but they still have really thick accents, right? Like my dad sounds like me doing an impression of him. You know what I mean? It's a very thick accent. And all my life I've been around sort of white friends. All my friends have been sort of white people. So I've noticed that the interaction is very interesting because sometimes my friends will change their accents as they talk to my parents. You know what I mean? My dad and my best friend Harold, they came to pick me up from the airport one day, and as we're going home, Harold turns to me and he goes, "Do you want to get some kebabs for lunch?" And I go, "Yeah, sure." And then he turns to my dad and goes, "Mr. Sahibi." would you like some kebabs for lunch? And the worst part is my dad didn't even realize. He just went, I would love some kebab for lunch. And then Harold turns to me and goes, you know, your dad's pretty hungry as well. I'm like, what? It's not fair. It's weird for me. So I've grown up in an Iranian household my whole life, but I'm vegetarian. I'm a vegetarian for about 10, 12 years now. Yes, thank you, Jeev. Jeev's my dad. No. My dad is Iranian. Iranians, they cook everything with meat. So it was like when I became vegetarian, I sort of had to sit my dad down and come out as a vegetarian. You know what I mean? And I've got a very progressive father, so it would have been easier to just come out as a homosexual, to be honest. You know, my dad's like weirdly progressive, so if I had come out as gay, he would have been fine with it. He goes, oh, you're gay, whatever, sure, you know. But when I came out as a vegetarian, you know what my dad said to me? He goes, oh, you're gay. Might sound the same, but it feels different, you know? It's been good. So I've been back for about a month now, and traveling is amazing. One thing that I've noticed is, like Scotland, for example. Has anyone here been to Scotland? Yeah, it's awesome, right? Scotland doesn't really have the racism I noticed that we have here. I was there for 2 months straight, and I actually thought the most racist thing about Scotland were their trains. Because every day I would have to go from Wishaw to Edinburgh, right? And it's like an hour a train. But I noticed that a return ticket from Wishaw to Edinburgh, right, is £14.40. A single ticket is £14.10. Why? Because they want you to go back to where you came from. And I think that's racist. I'm sorry, I do. But I've been back for a little while now, and it's been awesome because I've been back for a month and I'm finally getting back into my routine. You know, the first 2 weeks I always find whenever I'm traveling, I got the worst jet lag, the worst sleep, and because of that I have the craziest dreams, you know? I don't know if you guys have this. I sometimes have like, you ever have a dream that's so intense that when you wake up, you're almost not sure what's real and what isn't anymore? You know what I mean? Like the other night, I had a fight with my girlfriend in a dream that was so intense that when I woke up, I almost forgot I was single. Do you know what I mean? Do you ever wake up and miss someone that doesn't exist? But enough about religion. Just a bit of fun. I don't know what you guys... Guy in the back's my favorite. A literal knee slapper, that one was. He just comically did this. And that's me for 4 hours driving home going, remember that one guy? He loved it. Okay. I've been doing lucid dreaming. Has anyone done that before? Lucid dreaming? You've done it? Yeah? You're doing it now. Wake up. No. Lucid dreaming is where you can control yourself in your dreams, right? And it's very cool, actually. If you can do that, you can accomplish things in your dreams that you can't accomplish in the real world. You know, in real life, I can't fly. I can't do magic. I can't ride a dragon. But in my dreams, me and my dad hug. So it's pretty good. Thank you. The brown dads get it. There we go. It's just a joke if you don't want to laugh. Even in my dreams, he's disappointed. So we're working through that. You know, that joke's for you, Dad. He's not dead, don't worry. No, he's just tall. So, no, he's dead. But enough about me. It's been a very interesting year for me, though. So this year I went to Scotland. I also went to China earlier this year. Anyone went to China? Yeah, you've been? What'd you think? It's fun. It's good. You kind of have to like it. It's one of their rules. But it is good. You didn't like it? It seems not real. Whoa, okay, let's get into this. What do you mean by that?
People were very nice.
Mm-hmm.
But everything was as if it was artificial.
Oh, like little blocks and stuff. Where in China did you go?
Main cities.
Main cities, that's why. Yeah. You got to go. Where I went, there was no people. I'm not even kidding. Everyone was like, where are the billion people? I went with my mum on a Tripodil tour.
That's what I mean. You go to you went to Beijing.
Yeah.
Where are the people?
Yeah, I think they're hiding from us. I don't know what's... I think they get like a message and they're like, the non-Chinese will be here soon. Stay indoors from 9 to 3 and then we'll get back to it. So anyway, I went on a Tripodil tour with my mum and it was one of these things where it's like 2 weeks, flights, accommodation, everything's paid for, all the food, everything's covered. $888 for the whole thing. It's incredible. It's so cheap. It's actually so cheap that it's one of these things that makes you think like, how would they even make their money back from that, right? Yeah. And then you go there and you're just working for Nike for 2 weeks. So it is tough. It's not great, you know? But I love China for their technology. China have the most advanced technology in the world, right? Like they had these massive shopping centers, these huge bathrooms there, really fancy. And it turns out they have urinals in China that you can pee on them. And then based on how your pee looks, it'll then tell you how healthy you are. That's incredible technology. That's insane technology, right? Yeah. I mean, it's just a guy with his mouth open, but still. He's like, you'll be dead in a week. And then you go to tip him, and he's like, I don't work here. So, I really thought that might be the joke, and you guys pulled through like troopers. Good for you. One thing that's tough when you travel a lot is you can't smoke weed in some countries. Does anyone here smoke weed? No, that's okay. By the way, when I asked Jeev what the gig was going to, I was like, what kind of crowd do you reckon? He said they're going to be readers, which I don't know why, but it felt offensive. You know what I mean? It was his subtle way of being like, read a book, come on. And then you've seen the act. It's just, this is who I am. I'm so sorry. But I smoke weed sometimes. I smoke good while I'm watching movies. And I've kind of noticed that it makes me forget the plot of every movie ever. You know what I mean? I was talking to my friend about The Matrix recently. Have you guys seen The Matrix? Yeah. And he loves The Matrix. So he was like, dude, you know that one scene when Morpheus makes Neo choose between the red pill and the blue pill? I'm like, brother, I didn't even know he was pregnant. What are you talking about? You know? I feel like there are too many diversity remakes and sequels and stuff in Hollywood, right? Maybe it's just me. You know, I want diverse stories, but I feel like they're just making whatever. They're making James Bond is a woman now. What? Right? Mulan is Asian. I mean, it's enough already, okay? I just read somewhere that they're getting Zendaya for the new remake of Legally Blonde. Yeah. It's called Technically Black. That's my favorite joke, and a few of the people organizing the gig keep looking at you guys to make sure you're having fun, and that is kind of what I'm going for, which is pretty good. I do think personally the sequels in Hollywood are getting a little out of hand. You know, have you guys seen the new Godzilla vs. Kong movie? Let's go. Oh my God. You're raising them right, Jeev. Good for you. Yes. If you haven't seen it, basically in the first movie, Godzilla is fighting King Kong, which I think makes sense. Yeah. And then in the new one, they're working together. Yeah, they're teaming up to fight an even bigger enemy, Israel. So it is pretty good. Okay, that was a risk. I'm so sorry. Bit of a Gaza strip on the side, and we'll get through it. I just wanted to try that joke because you guys are a great crowd. Can I be honest? I've been in Europe for 2 months. Do you know what that does to a person's self-esteem? You know, I was in Europe. I was in Paris for 2 weeks. Paris is kind of just beautiful people that don't smile. That's the whole city. I did an hour show in Paris. For an hour straight, just like 20 hot people staring at me. That's it. I just feel like hot people are not good crowds, but you guys are a great crowd. And that's just a bit of fun. Oh, thank you. Thank you, guys. I'm just kidding. And it's so well lit that I just want you to know you're all adorable, my little pumpkins. I will leave in a moment. But so as I said, one thing that I found very interesting about today is this theme of the immigrant. Because I've been born and raised here my whole life. My parents moved here for us to have a better life. And I've noticed one thing that I actually talked to Jeev a little bit about. But I found that, because I'm born and raised here, right? My parents are from Iran. All my family are Iranian. All my cousins are Iranian. And I've noticed that just because I'm born here and they're born there, we're seen as very different people, right? And my parents, they flew to Australia in the 90s. So sometimes I think to myself, well, if I was born on that plane ride, you know, from Iran to Australia, would I be Iranian or Australian? It's an interesting question. I would like to think that it wouldn't matter, right? I would like to think that no matter where I was born, whether it's Iran or Australia, that I would still be treated like an Indian. So I've been Kiana. You guys have been wonderful. Get up here, host Jess. Thank you so much.
That was really good and thought-provoking in your own very different way from Jeev. Jeev, would you like to come onto the stage, and there will be a discourse between a philosopher and a comedian.
One more time for the chairs, everybody. Come on. Sorry, I get uncomfortable with silence. Whenever it gets awkward, I will ask you to clap. How you doing, Jeev?
Fine, thanks.
Good stuff. Okay. I've got a couple of questions I'd like to ask you regarding the immigrant, and for me, a big thing about it is the perception of the immigrant. How it's perceived here, how it's perceived there. I think a lot of people see and feel and perceive and have a feeling towards immigrants that are very different. Some people feel some sort of anger, some people are weirdly friendly, some people are strangely sympathetic to them. Why do you think that is? Why do you think those ranges exist, and what do you think feeds into those sort of feelings?
Good question, Kirosh. We do all have different reaction to when we see something, I wouldn't say alien, but different. So there's a bit of a boring biological answer, but I'll start with that and we'll get interesting after that. So I think humans are wired to be anxious because, again, going back to our history, if something strange, different, a weird-looking animal, you get anxious about, psychologically doing. So when we react, but over the years as we developed as Homo sapiens, we got our brains working on that. So our hindbrain is our primitive brain. We take basic decisions on that. Then we have midbrain, which works on emotions, and we have the forebrain, which is our cognitive brain. So when we have a strong cognitive muscle, you can control your anxious reactions to things. So I have behaved in both categories in my life. So when you're a bit anxious about something different and you didn't have opportunity to cognitively analyze the new situation, you can have a situation where you think, oh, what's that? You're uncomfortable, you may make a decision which is anxiety-provoking for yourself and someone else. But when you have a strong cognitive strength, you probably can get away with that and you can control that, analyze the situation and behave slightly differently. So I believe it's the range from very anxious reaction and fearless reaction. So I think more you think, you become fearless, you accept it because you know that's the world it is. So I think that's where it sits in my opinion, when you interact with something different, something new.
Do you think going beyond that, when what you're talking about is a very animal basis, do you think people are more accepting or closed off to something like the idea of an immigrant? Based on an economic factor, a social factor, a time and a place, do you think, how much of it do you think, I guess, comes internally and how much of it is these exterior forces?
Again, good point. So when I said my early statements about actually our basic being, humans usually behave in biological urges. But you just brought out a very good point. Now, with the world around us, even cognitive ability can be corrupted. So if you can say that if I hear more and more things about that something different is not good for you, it could be anything. It's immigrant in this case, but if you start learning, your learned behavior is also corrupted, that for wrong reasons, that's not good for you, then that can really, you put you on the other side of not accepting or being more, I think it's ultimately it's a fear and anxiety. It's ultimately that's what it is.
Yeah.
That you are putting a fuel to the fire of anxiety, which already pre-exists in our brains. And now by newer information, if you're putting more fuel into that, you get more anxious. In the end, decision of not liking or being angry or annoyance is anxiety-based. It could be fueled by the newer information on the economics, and lots of jobs and things like that.
Okay, fascinating. This is something I've always thought about, I find very interesting. How do you think, just as a concept really, the immigrant is perceived? Let's say someone moves from my family from Iran to Australia. How do you think they're perceived from the people in Australia as opposed to the people back home, the people that they've sort of maybe left, abandoned for a better life? How do you think that difference in perception works?
Excellent question, I think, because I experienced it myself, having moved from Delhi, that when so there are two concepts here too. Again, I'll throw some concepts, fortunately. One is called assimilation, other concept is called acculturation. And they're not necessarily exclusive, but there's a range. Assimilation is a concept where you come and you receive people with an idea that would assimilate. And I give an example of salt in the stew. So stew is being cooked, salt goes in, you can't see salt anymore, but it does change the taste. But it's not visible. So that's assimilation. Other spectrum is acculturation, where you come with the idea that you'll contribute to some part, but you want to preserve your identity. And its example is that a stew is being cooked, you put full seeds of the pepper, not ground pepper, full pepper. So pepper goes in, changes the flavor, but you can see the pepper seeds strewn across the stew. So that's acculturation. Now to answer your question, whichever two spectrum you have lived your life as an immigrant, you change. So I came with the idea of assimilating. I thought I'm going to be complete Aussie. I tried to learn the accent, never worked. But that's what I wanted to do. When I go back to India or Delhi, I walk out and people know I'm not Indian. And I come back to Australia, people look at me and say I'm not Australian. So that's when you this spectrum of assimilation. Now, if you go back one down to the other end, acculturation, you've got a bigger problem. Because now, you think that acculturation, you're preserving your identity, like in some cases. I know some people come and say, I want to preserve my identity, I want to stick to what I am, my culture. Even when they go back to the home country, people know immediately. They try their best to preserve their culture. They go back, say, where are you from? Say, look, I'm Indian or I'm Iranian. No, you have changed. So it happens at both spectrums. I think assimilation was probably less problematic, but if you're on the acculturation spectrum, it's higher. You lose, I wouldn't say lose, you were seen differently in both sides.
Yeah, I feel that exact same thing. I think it's an interesting thing where to both societies you're almost perceived as having two worlds, and then to yourself you've almost got none. So I think we should get our own country almost, or something. You know what I mean? We can all just have our own place to hang out and go, well, they don't want us. That sort of thing. This leads to my next question. This is something that I've always felt. Do you feel like there's a sort of any feelings of resentment or guilt towards an immigrant who's leaving their family for a better life, especially from the perception of people that are still struggling in that space?
Yes, I think we all feel that all the time, actually. And there's actually, psychologists have given it a syndrome called Ulysses syndrome. So it goes back to the Homer's epic. So when Odysseus moved out, he always was thinking, longing to go back to his family. And that happens to all the immigrants. I think everybody I met, in my friends from Greece, Italy, Europe, wherever, even for Americans, to be honest. And I feel like our famous Margot Robbie, I was hearing her once, she's our Australian actress and she can look easily like American. She lives in America, but the moment she lands in Brisbane, she starts talking Aussie. So the point is that that guilt lingers there. It's a slow stress we always live of missing out, especially people who come from the South Asia or Asian countries, that you're living an amazing life. We are almost living in heaven. This is, for me, this is heaven on the planet where I live. It's very lucky, I feel, all the time. And when I go back, I feel, well, why not everybody has this? So that guilt is always there for your people back home. And I agree with you. So I think all the immigrants carry that pressure.
Whose burden do you think that is to carry? Do you think that's something that is more placed upon yourself as someone who leaves and you kind of feed into it? Or do you think it's something that really is truly kind of transferred to you? Because for me, it feels like you can very much tell there's certain things that are said and told that feed into that feeling, but how much I choose to let it fester and sort of let it become a part of my identity or feel true guilt about it. Because, I mean, you're really living the exact life they would want, and you want the best for the people that you love. So it's like they don't even really want to be feeling that feeling. You both don't really love the feeling. Is this something that you kind of just work? There's not really a question as opposed to like, I guess what's the best way to approach it from a healthy standpoint?
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think external factors are bigger in this feeling. That's way, at least scientifically we know, it's predominantly internal factor, but they are kind of unshakable. So you might think, okay, it's internally I feel why I should stop feeling like that. But you can't shake it off. But you're right, external factors do play. If you go back and people say, oh, Raj, you come from Australia, you're cool, and you feel bad. But honestly, those external factors are less profound because people who don't have those comments, they still feel it. Even, as I said, for example, people who come from America to Australia, it's not like a huge difference, but you still feel it.
Yeah. Is it stronger or is it weaker for you? Do you feel like it's something you've dealt with better over time?
I think it's not as big for me because I've made a very strong decision that that's what I want to do. I always felt that Earth is my country. I generally believe this. I think I don't believe the boundaries, but they are. Right. And I feel that, well, I'm here. It's my home as well as anybody else's. And those who don't move, they make the choice. So that's how I feel. Yeah. But it's not, I still have that stickiness always. I can't shake it off.
Yeah. Especially when you go home.
Yeah.
I find that it always comes back when you go home. Because they say, oh, you get, good bread in Australia. And you're like, what? You guys have bread? And they're like, no, your bread's better. And you're like, oh my God. You just feel bad about everything. Do you have anything towards that feeling that you would say is there a better way to approach that relationship? I always find that with my cousins back home especially. I think with uncles and aunties you feel that they've sort of another generation above. With my cousins we're going through a lot of similar stages in life. So for me, getting a lot of certain opportunities or living certain beautiful moments, I have this weird feeling of at what point can you share it? At what point is it too much to share? I'll say a personal thing. So when I went to Europe the last 2-3 months, was when Iran and Israel had like that 14-day sort of cold war weird. So there's a very strange feeling of like I'm truly pursuing my dreams and having a time of my life, and I don't know if my family is safe. So I feel this very strange feeling of and it's not even guilt, but it's like at what point do you share your experiences, and at what point do you feel like you're fueling a fire of your cousins going, I wish I could live my dreams?
That's a very good question again. I share that feeling with you. I guess you can't openly be enjoying yourself in that environment because you have a guilt that, I try not to talk about the footy too much because there's no cricket I can talk, luckily for me. But I love AFL, and my son and I have been part of Sydney Swans, and I love it, but I can't share those things. I think you're right. That stickiness is there. Why? I just can't explain it. I think it's going to be sticky. And to answer your question in a different way, I guess, that stickiness was always there from the time of Odysseus. So humanity, whenever people move, we always move. That sort of feeling that you come to a better part of the world, better pasture, your loved ones are lingering there in some other circumstance. So that's been always human history. So I think that's a bit of a comforting that I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
You always have done that.
Yeah. It's weirdly universal. I don't know many people who've experienced that and gone, I don't feel anything. I think there's a strange feeling there. Do you feel like there's a sacrifice and a cost that comes to being an immigrant, and not just financially or really in that sense, but like a spiritual and a cultural sacrifice in the sense of leaving your motherland, and really especially when a lot of people leave their country, they're in their 20s, so a lot of your identity is rooted in that country.
Yeah, universal part of again moving for the immigrant. So I had a bit of a think about when I was moving that when you're an immigrant, especially let's take 21st century movement. I'm not talking moving when your floodplains took over your house and you had to move to higher pastures. Historical immigration, which used to happen that way. We had a big drought and you had to move to another country in Africa to get a better living condition. So I'm talking 21st century movement. So migrants now, when you apply for something, usually that migration is more for a better lifestyle, better pay, better living conditions for your family. In that setting, what happens is, what I believe, to answer your question, that you already made calculations for the good things you're going to get. I'll have a better pay, better house, better lifestyle, safe environment, so you're very happy. It doesn't hit you that much that what you're going to lose because you haven't accounted for it. You don't think of that. If you think of that, probably you wouldn't make a decision of moving. So what happens then is you move, you make a new home, you're happy, then you start realizing, oh my God, what I lost. Because that lost part sticks after that. Yeah. Because you haven't made that concession or into that accounting of decision making, the losses you're going to have. So I wouldn't call it sacrifice because you have actually moved consciously, but you do have losses which get stacked more and more as the time passes. So losses are there, like spiritual, cultural identity, those losses. But initial few years, you're in a groove, you're enjoying your new country, you all got the house, new mortgage, enjoying, and then you realize what I left. So I think that stacks behind the gains. So loss comes a little bit later.
So you think more people accept the loss and think it's worth it? But what about towards 30 years in?
It becomes big. So the loss looks far bigger as you get older in a new country. So initially you're looking at all the profit, all the fun, and you're discounting all those losses you may come. But as you get older, you think, oh my God, what I've lost. I lost all my friends, all my peers, all the memories, and it becomes bigger and bigger with time. So gains become smaller because now you're living there, it doesn't matter, but the losses become more profound.
Right, so you get more sentimental, more nostalgic. Right, okay, interesting. I have a very interesting experience with it through my mum almost, because I'm born and raised here, so I feel more connected here, but I can see my mum from that Iranian side with her food and her music, and she's so Iranian, but she can't really express herself outside of that. So there's this real disconnect sometimes where we're just born in this Australian society. She's just from that Iranian society, and it's like we almost can't understand her on some levels just because of that, because she's so deeply rooted within that. And I think that's why a lot of immigrants end up finding... My parents literally found 3 other Iranians in a park and just went, you. And then they're my best friends. I've known them my whole life. Like that sort of... I think we cling to each other because you go, you know that exact feeling. Not just from like a immigrant sense, but like, you know what food I'm missing. You know the song I'm missing. You know that feeling of home I'm missing. So I think there is some strange... Ultimately coming back to like... That's why we have like Little Iran and Little India in a place like Canberra. Because enough people congregated and went, we should hang out. I also miss my uncle, that sort of thing. My last question would be, I guess, do you feel like there is an ideal mechanism towards being an immigrant? Do you think there's this ideal system to make it work for people?
I think it's a retrospect now, because as you know, humans have always migrated. Immigration is part of us, who we are. So now we are 21st century, we put labels on everything, we analyze everything, we are scientific, we've got evidence, we've got data. So we can probably do that. I'm not saying it'll be successful, but at least there could be some way of saying what's ideal immigration, because now we are 21st century. We're not just moving because floods have come, let's move to Northern Territory. So we're doing it very planned way. So if you're planning it, so I've got a very simple view, which is probably too simple, so probably not workable, that the people who move must know, coming to your earlier point, that what I'm gaining, and also think what I'm losing, and when I go to other place, what are they expecting of me more than my job? So how I'm going to be, I think I'll use the word assimilating in that, because that makes your job easier. You don't have to, but if you think that if I go there, a new place, that place is like this, I'm going to be going there with the idea that I'm going to assimilate in the system as much as I can. But that's one side. Now, receiving side should also remember, as Max Frisch said, you don't just get workers, you get people. So how hospitable we're going to be, how comfortable you're going to make those people who are coming, not asking them to sacrifice too much. How much, but we must spell it out. I'll give you very quickly a short story of a friend of mine, a radiologist. I didn't know that. He moved from Delhi, he moved to Denmark. And then he's moved to New Zealand. Now he's in New Zealand for 6 years. For 6 years in Denmark. He said when we were hired in Denmark, and that's what we don't do here, they had all the people they hired from different backgrounds, 300 people to go to Denmark. They had 3 months of training. And they explained them how things are going to be different for you. It was enormous exercise to prepare them for new life, language, culture. And they were appointed friends, Danish friends. They communicated, they were hosts. It went on, they had the bestest friends there for 6 years. So I'm not saying it's the best way, I don't know, I never lived that, but he was saying that was the best immigrant experience I ever had. That society made it work for them. I went to New Zealand because he moved there because of other cousins and family. It's an English-speaking country. They said, all right, you here, start working. Nothing happened. And he felt it was much harder for him, though English-speaking, professional, for him to move to New Zealand. So I'm saying there's a lot of data around us. Certain people, certain countries, certain nations are already doing it. Hopefully we can come to a way that people who come in, they will blend in more easily, and people who are receiving, they also feel comfort that we are getting the people who we can work with, who enrich ourselves. Thank you.
Great. Round of applause for Jeev, everybody. That's the end of the Q&A segment. We're going to bring it back to Jess. Thank you guys so much.